breaking news in the last 10 minutes or so, and that is that Brennan Johnson is the subject of a bid from Crystal Palace in the region of around about £35 million. The Tottenham winger sought after in this January transfer window, and Steve Parish maybe getting the first bit of business done and getting it done early. We'll find out. The January transfer window opens on the 1st of January, funnily enough, and Alex Crook will be the man to follow throughout the course of that. Your transfer notebook, your rolling blog. What else have you got going on over the course of January?
Yeah, obviously daily updates, certainly on White and Jordan. I'd imagine breakfast as well, and probably all the shows. It could be quite busy, you know, not necessarily in terms of hundreds of millions being spent, but there's a lot of teams who need to do business, aren't there, for different reasons.
OK, let's catch up with the latest odds, all thanks to BetMGM.
It's showtime on talkSPORT with BetMGM. Get ready for the golden era of sports betting. Visit betmgm.co.uk or download the app. 18+gambleaware.org.
And I'm delighted to say that Super Charlie Robertson from BetMGM is with us today to look at today's top sporting events and discuss the latest odds. Charlie, good morning to you. Let's look back at the championship from last night. The top two both losing. So what does that do to the odds?
Yeah, morning, gents. Yeah, very eventful night, wasn't it? I know you covered it off with Adrian earlier, guys. Yeah, obviously after their big win away at Coventry, Ipswich, the big movers, they're actually odds on now to finish in the top two at 9 to 10. Well, again, their price is shortened for the title. They're 9 to 2. As for Coventry, guys, yeah, they've still got that 10-point gap, haven't they? So they are very short price to go up automatically 1 to 16, and we still make them a short price at 33 to 10 to win the division. The really interesting sort of battle is who's going to make it into the playoffs. I think bar Middlesbrough, who are 1 to 4, we've got 13 teams at 5 to 1 or shorter. So it really is anyone's guess. However, I'm going to ask Alex Crook to predict that 6 that he thinks might be in those playoffs.
Look at his face, completely panicked when you said that.
I watched the Southampton game last night, and I shouldn't tell my dad this as he's a Southampton fan, but I can't say I was particularly impressed by them. I know they are bar Middlesbrough the shortest side to go up, but Crookie, who do you think are those 6 sides that can make it into the playoffs at the moment?
I agree with you on Southampton. I don't think they've got enough. I'm not entirely convinced by the manager. I think you've got to say, I would say Coventry, Middlesbrough and Ipswich pretty much nailed on. I know Middlesbrough's form has tailed off. I'd like to see Hull do it because our big mate Dean Holden is the assistant manager and we get on very well with the owner.
Forget that. The big mate is Atun,
yeah,
the owner. He took us out on a boat across the Bosphorus and round Istanbul.
So I'm going to put them in there. Bristol City, you know, looked good last night until the final third. So if they can get a striker in this window, then maybe I'm going to say they'll get into the playoffs. And I do think Watford have got the wind behind them now with Javi Grazia's return. So yeah, I'll go Coventry and Ipswich in the top 2. And then Middlesbrough, Hull, Watford and Bristol City in the playoffs.
Wow. You're going to get Millwall out of the playoffs?
Yeah. Not sure they've got quite enough quality.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so we've got Watford 7 to 4 to make the playoffs, Bristol City 5 to 2. As I said, Southampton 11 to 10, but yeah, not sure about that. When you said Hull, didn't you, Crookie? They're 2 to 1. So yeah, but it really is. It was one of those leagues, isn't it? You win 3 or 4 games in a row and you shoot up about 5 or 6 spots. So it really is an open race at the moment.
It's a shame for Stoke City that they've dropped so drastically after such a bright start to the season.
Always happens though, don't they? They always get it right, do they?
I always think though that there's always a late runner from the middle of the pack, and because it is so tight, there's every chance that even the likes of, and say it quietly, Wrexham, Queen's Park Rangers, Bristol City we've already mentioned, maybe even Leicester City, if things change there, can go on a run and get themselves into the top 6. And I think Leicester City should be ones we keep our eyes on over the course of January, because if they were to decide to change the manager and they got a little bit of a boost from someone coming in, things could be very, very different. Let's move on to tonight's Premier League action, because there's 6 live and exclusive games on talkSPORT, across the talkSPORT network, talkSPORT 2 and the talkSPORT app. So what are the big prices for tonight?
Yeah, there's, as you mentioned, Sam, plenty of games. I did want to sort of talk about the big one that you'll obviously be at, Sam. I know you guys have covered it off. I'll just quickly run through the odds. Arsenal 11 to 25. They have lost 3 of their last 5 against Villa, so not a great recent record. Unai Emery's side, who just unbelievable form, aren't they? 11 straight wins. They're 6 to 1, and the draw is 19 to 5. I know yesterday, gents, Matt Gibson mentioned he thinks it's a three-horse race at the moment. I think it is too. I think the form Villa are in, you've got to put them in there. I know you guys do fancy Arsenal tonight, but if Villa did pull off a win, I know they've got a couple of absentees. Would that change your views that it's a three-horse title race, or do you still think?
Absolutely. I
Regardless
think if they win tonight, and after beating Chelsea at the weekend, if you ignore them at your peril, absolutely. I don't think they're out of the title race anyway. Yesterday, I turned around and said that I thought that Unai Emery and his tactical adaptability gives them a chance of being contenders. Do I think they'll win it? No. But do I think they'll be involved in it? Yeah, I think they will do. They're aiming for a fourth Premier League double over Arsenal. They did it in 92-93. They did it in 2021. They did it in 23-24. They could do it in 25-26. It is amazing to think that they've won so many games away from home at Arsenal. And they're very good at these tight games, aren't they? 10 of their last 12 wins have come by a one-goal margin. It means that they control those matches. And even when they're out of control in those matches, they find a way to stay in them, which I think is really impressive.
Yeah, I completely agree, Sam. I think momentum in football is a massive thing, isn't it? And I think, I know Arsenal are an incredibly solid side, but I do think Villa, I can definitely see them getting a draw tonight. A win may be a little bit out of the question, but I can definitely see them getting a draw. But Crookie, what would your thoughts be? A win and title contenders, or still a little bit on the fence on that one?
I think if they win the game, it's a massive statement. I don't think they do win the game tonight. I've been quite strong on Arsenal. I'm prepared to have a lot of egg on my face tomorrow, because not only have I said Arsenal will win, I think they'll win more comfortably than a lot of people are suggesting. But if Villa were to win this and back up what they did against Chelsea, then you have to start taking them seriously. The odds are slowly coming down. They were 25-1 not that long ago, Aston Villa.
Yeah, they're 16s now, and I'd imagine they'll be 10s or probably shorter if they win tonight. But obviously it does depend on how City get on against Sunderland, but that's definitely not an easy game, is it? It's not an easy one for City. So, yeah, I think for the neutral, a three-horse title race would be great, wouldn't it?
Obviously, the dream result for talkSPORT listeners is for Wolves to beat Manchester United and for Arsenal to lose at Aston Villa, so we can spend the day tomorrow.
I've already preempted a Manchester United
ribbing Crook for no other reason than just that. We're only joking. The PDC World Darts Championship kicked off last night with Luke Littler. We're going to talk about that a little bit later on. Where are we standing now on who's the favourite? I mean, obviously, Luke is usually the biggest favourite out of the lot, but did the sort of crowd reaction to him change anything?
Not really, Sam. I think he's about 8-13 to win it. He actually knocked out Rob Cross last night, so they've actually only got 9 seeded players left in the draw, which I think is something like a record at the moment. I think there's one guy who's 136th in the world who's still in it. So it feels sort of open, but at the same time, I think if Littler plays his best, he's probably going to win. Just quickly on to tonight, Sam. Some really interesting games. Obviously, the one that stands out is Michael van Gerwen against Gary Anderson, two former world champions. Really interesting game. Anderson's the slight favourite of 4-5. I'd actually probably fancy Van Gerwen and even money. I think he's slowly coming back into form. I know it's been a bit of a tricky period for him off the hockey, but I think he's coming back into form. And just a quick sort of treble for the listeners. Johnny Clayton, Josh Rock and Luke Humphries plays about even money. That looks a fairly solid bet, Sam. So, some really interesting action tonight. But yeah, it does, as you mentioned, it does feel like Littler's definitely the one to beat if he keeps playing as well as he did. I think he hit 12 180s last night. So, it doesn't show any signs of sort of letting up at the moment.
Charlie, thank you very much for joining us. Appreciate that. That was a look at the latest odds, all thanks to BetMGM. Visit betmgm.co.uk or download the app. 18+. BeGambleAware.org.
It's showtime on talkSPORT with BetMGM. Get things golden with responsible play at betmgm.co.uk. 18+, gambleaware.org.
Liverpool's set-piece coach, Aaron Briggs, is set to leave the club. A bit of breaking news that's just reached us in the last few minutes. Liverpool have got a bit of a problem with set-pieces this season. They've got a -9 in terms of set-piece differential. They've conceded 12 goals from set-pieces. Briggs joined in the summer of 2024, took over set-piece duties exclusively in September. Responsibility now for set-pieces will fall across the remaining coaching staff. Virgil van Dijk said after the Wolves game, actually, the fact is we've conceded too many set-piece goals and we don't score enough. It's something we have to improve. I would say at least 75% of the time or more. It's not even about the first contact. It's about the second phase, and that's the killer. Is that a mental thing? I hope not. If it's in your head, then it's an issue. Interesting.
So Virgil van Dijk's basically got the set-piece coach fired. Is that what you're suggesting?
I'm just telling you what he said. I'm not suggesting that
A glowing endorsement there.
precipitated the removal of Aaron Briggs. However, not coincidence, maybe. I don't know. But Liverpool set-piece coach Aaron Briggs is leave the club after they conceded 12 goals from set pieces this season. This is Matterface and Crook on talkSPORT with Selco Builders Warehouse. Check out this month's real deals at selcobw.com. We're going to be discussing those comments from Luke Littler next.